So I just wrapped up season 4 of Orange is the New Black, and actually I was pleasantly impressed, and I wanted to talk about a few of the things I picked up on, a few of the things I've noticed about people online picking up on, and then also I wanted to ask you if there were things you picked up on, because a lot of shit went down this season, and I think it was like warning signs to the public. So let's talk about it. So, Orange is the New Black seems to be tackling some really relevant issues right now, which is pleasantly surprising to me because last season, for season 3, the whole season seemed to be about panty sniffers and the weirdness. Like, I wasn't following, I didn't think it was a part of the show that I really felt interested in. I appreciated it for showing kind of the fucked up ways our prison systems work and make inmates like slave labor, and that was interesting, knowing that they only get 10 or 11 cents for an hour's worth of work. Meanwhile, the prison is profiting off of their labor, and that's really fucked up, and that's weird that we allow that to happen. But season 3 really didn't deliver anything other than Ruby Rose, and I wasn't having it. So I was a little hesitant to start season 4, but out the gate, the episode 1 hooked me. I mean, they were bringing up so many things that are happening and being discussed right now online all the time, like NSA privacy breaches and them spying on their own citizens and drone overusage, and how here in America, I was actually at a park recently and a family was out using a drone, and those things are loud as fuck. Let me tell you, we were at this like state park, full, gorgeous day outside. Somebody sent a drone up like 30 feet, 40 feet above us, and it cleared the area. It sounds obnoxious, and it's super like, get the fuck out of here. It feels like you're around that electricity buzz all the time. It's fucking obnoxious, which I love that Orange is the New Black pointed out. But also people are like, I didn't give consent to be recorded, and since you're in public, you have to. Like, we're in a fucked up time. But I love that the show is talking about that, and my boyfriend had told me that they received pressure after season 3 aired about being really fluff PC, like super not about prison life, not what it's about, and people saying, Genji, what are you doing? Why write a show about prison life to make it look like what corporate media would want it to look like, right? Like prison guards doing their job and inmates being aggressive and violent. Like it's not prison life. And if that's how you view prison life from the outside, you're buying too much into the mainstream idea. Because if you look at some of the extreme documentaries on YouTube about what female prisons are actually like, they will tell you that inside it is 98% camaraderie amongst inmates. They love each other. They form families to take care of each other because of the absurdity and the lunacy of the violence committed by correctional officers or people in charge of keeping these inmates safe. The fact that they're not being fed, or they're being beaten or raped, they're undereducated, the facilities and the infrastructure are falling apart. I've done a video how this last season of Orange is the New Black also pointed out that the quality of water in prisons, and then the quality of land and water around prisons is awful. It's toxic. It's dangerous. It's full of chemicals and runoff, and the infrastructure is falling apart. It's not filtered, cleaned. Like, none of the things that you and I receive every day are even thought of to give to prisoners, and it's really, really sad. Then you find out other things. Another thing I appreciated about this season was taking the storyline of that CO officer who's really cute, and he took the place of the guy who got the Spanish bitch pregnant. He's young, Benjamin, like, Berkeley. I don't know, we'll go with it. But in his storyline, they talked about how before he was a correctional officer, he was really young, he kind of aimless in life, so he ended up in that field. But he was arrested himself for smoking on like a water tower, right? And they were talking about how prison from a distance looks just like school. And the funny thing about that is it's relating how prisons and schools are identical. Kids going to schools, I don't care if you're talking elementary, middle, or high school, even into college, they're being molded to think a certain way. They're being indoctrinated into a system so that they can't argue it, basically, is what's happening. And also, if you look into the quality of food that schools receive, it's grade D. That's the same as prison. So it's prison quality food that we feed our children, which is funny. But other things that this season of Orange is the New Black brought up were FBI involvement in cover-ups. Also, the FBI and certain sectors of the government needing to pre-approve what shows and movies portray our government and its affiliate agencies as. Did you know this? Like, this show has to be vetted by agencies of the government. That is a really scary thing, because not only do they now demand, apparently, that if you're going to be using government facilities or government officials, I guess you would call them, they're to be accurate and to have actual U.S. badges and patches and stuff, where it's supposed to be fictional, okay? Like, this stuff is supposed to be an escape from reality. That is what television and movies were intended. It's an escape, right? And so when you're putting reality, like these badges and these patches, and they're being demanded, and we see that, it gets you and your psyche used to the idea this is what is to be expected. It's no longer a fake patch of some militant agency abusing American citizens. It's real life government agencies being portrayed as abusing American citizens. They want you to see it that way. They want you controlled. So with Jenji Cohen doing her very best, I assume, because after this season I'm taking away from it that I think Jenji is trying to get a message out there, and I think she's curtailing it around what she is forced to make the show look like, because I think she writes the show, has it approved by this agency, and this agency is basically like, nope, you have to make the government look good here. You have to, like, in these scenes where, like, Pussy was snuffed out, first of all, that whole thing was really weird to me. There was no struggle. She wasn't screaming that she couldn't breathe. The officer who took her life away from her was like one of two good correctional officers. I was really confused why they didn't use that big gay fucktard that everybody hated this season, Piscatelli or whatever his name was. He was awful. Like, he should have been the one snuffing her out, and then he should have been the one with the gun in his face by Dia at the end. Like, I'm so confused with where the writing went. However, I watched a video on YouTube that kind of blew my mind, with somebody's perspective thinking that Pussy killed in episode 12. Sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet. Come on, what did you expect from this video? It's dissecting the season. But with her being killed in episode 12 and then revived in episode 13 to show her backstory, they were kind of indicating that that's not her revival. That is Jenji Cohen showing you that with Lolly, the character who was crazy, even though she was not actually crazy, she was bringing up all of these truths, and I think Jenji wrote her as a truther. The agencies who have to vet the script said make her crazy, so Jenji was like, okay, I'm gonna make her crazy, but then I'm gonna take it a step further and have her confess all of these things, and also believe, and have her tell an authority figure, hey, I did something, but all of these other things are happening, and then the authority figure say, no, you're crazy. Because a truther is crazy. This day and age, in 2016, if you tell the truth, you sound crazy. The Bible even says that. It's nothing new. But if you say things that challenge people's comfortability and security, even if they're factual, you will look crazy. And that's what that was to show you. So when Pussy comes back in episode 13, they're kind of showing you that while Lolly was building a time machine hidden in the basement, Pussy, after being murdered in episode 12, episode 13 starts with her getting on a bus, and the very first line is this a bus to hell? Or something around those lines. So people are thinking there's a possibility that once Pussy was murdered, she woke up right on the day she was arrested, and then at the end of the episode, it shows you she never went and sold weed because she ended up having the bicycle ride with the Buddhists and having the spiritual journey in Manhattan before going to Amsterdam. And basically it's people saying Mandela effect came into play, and or the time machine or CERN, or something happened where she woke back up on the day she was going to be arrested, but it never happened. So she is skirting going to prison ever. So it's a really interesting idea, because when I watched episode 13, I was really grumpy. I was like, you're gonna kill off one of my favorite characters, and I was pissed that it had to be a black girl. I was like, this show is dominated with boring white bitches. You're telling me, first of all, Alex Voss and the main character Piper are the two most boring characters. Off them. Like, you've had the chances, Genji. I don't understand the show and like what they're trying to get across. But this season, that character of Lolly, played by the actress who plays Kit in A League of Their Own, blow your mind, love her. And also Yoga Jones, who voiced Patty Mayonnaise on the series Doug in the 90s. Two of my favorite characters. I'm really anxious to see what they're going to do with this Lolly character. When they pulled her into that psych ward, I was picturing, like, look at these videos I'm doing, the topics they're talking about. Lolly was talking about the same thing. She was talking about CERN. She was talking about the Mandela effect. She was talking about water conditions with prisons. She was talking about how the government is making American citizens terrorists. We're being put on terror watch lists. We're being put on no-fly lists. She was talking about the NSA spying and their abilities to do so. They were talking about how new applications that can be downloaded, even though names were not given. There's stories out there about how this Facebook app can listen to your conversation. But all of this to say, it's just really interesting kind of to guess, assume, wonder, what exactly is Genji Cohen doing? I do believe she is trying to get a message out there for the public, and she has to do it in an extremely subtle way. She isn't the first writer-director to do this. Many have. One of my favorites is Stanley Kubrick. I'm doing a video on him soon. He's so brilliant. So brilliant. Every piece of art he put out there has a hidden message, and I do believe that's what's happening with this show. I think the show is very important. You know, many videos on real women's facility prison life talk about how the show isn't portraying things accurately, how it shows, you know, visitation as this like robust time that the women are kept from some of the times, but in all actuality, a lot of these women at these minimum or maximum security prisons don't have visitors, because they talk about women in prisons. The men are not faithful or loyal and do not come and visit. They're often left alone. They don't have visitors, where on the flip, men in prison often have too many visitors. So it's just interesting stuff like that, and how Orange is the New Black really could do more to tackle like real life, but then again, how much leeway do you have to give her for just trying to get the show on the fucking air? I don't know how lax Netflix is. I assume a lot, because they're producing some amazing television, and they're really giving cable and cable networks and things like Comcast a run for their money, which is so needed. Netflix, Hulu, Crackle, things like that, support that. We need more of that. And if you have an idea, get it out there. We need even more. Netflix isn't the epitome. They're not the end-all be-all. We can make things even better. Like, I think it's obnoxious how platforms like this, like Hulu, now has you paying for their service, but then paying even more if you want their service without commercials. It's like, well, no, make your paid service the one without commercials. Raise it $1. Like, stop being weird. We, the people, have the ability to keep things like this in check. And that's, I think, the main message Orange is the New Black is giving. We, the people, have the power to make change. Change is being made in prisons by people in the prison. If you think it's me and you and voting, it isn't. Like, people standing up for their voice to be heard are the change. So unless you are doing that, you are not making change. Your money isn't good enough. And sometimes your time isn't good enough. Honestly, to dig your teeth into an issue, find out why it's really affecting people and how it could potentially even affect you or your loved ones is key. Speaking out about it is key. And I do think that's what Genji is doing here. Clap back if you disagree. If you think otherwise, let me know. If you think the show's just really stupid, fluff, filler for Netflix to kind of have a fifth season of a show running. I mean, it was one of their first shows, so many ideas are floating around out there. I just really thought that idea with Pussy waking up and never having to experience prison was just really cool. I really liked that one. I'm holding on to that. I'm letting that simmer. But honestly, I thought this season was really good. It deserves some attention. If you haven't checked it out yet, sorry for spoiling it. Not really, because you'll still enjoy the series. Nothing's really ruined. You know, these women's lives in this facility are like 90% going to be ruined. I mean, it's the prison system, and it's trying to stay as true as it can. So check it out if you haven't. If you have, definitely let me know what you thought about this season, or what you think they could do in future seasons, because God, that Lolly storyline, I want to know where the hell that's going. And then the Laverne Cox storyline, she was just in the shoe the entire season. That was crazy too. I wonder how often shit like that's happening we can't hear about it. They had the storyline where her wife wasn't informed that she was even sent to solitary. How terrifying. People on the outside might not even know you're dead. They covered it just like the Sandra Bland, just like the Eric Garner. I really appreciate them bringing real life issues into the show and dealing with them to the masses. I think it's really cool. Anyway, I don't want this video to go too long. Let me know what you think in comments below, and as always, take care of yourself on this rainy ass Thursday. Peace.